Legal framework of forest management in Namibia. The Namibian forestry sector is regulated by the Forest Act of 2001, which regulates various activities to ensure the sustainable utilization, management and protection of forest resources and forest capital in Namibia. The Forest Act, which allows for the establishment of community forest, is enforced by the Directorate of Forestry in the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. This ministry also hosts the Directorate of Environmental Affairs, who in turn enforces the Environmental Management Act of 2007, which is important for timber or bush harvesting activities and for land clearing. The overarching legislation in conservation of all natural resources is the country's constitution, which stipulates in Article 95(1) that the state shall actively promote and maintain the welfare of the people by adopting policies that are aimed at the maintenance of ecosystems, essential ecological processes and biological diversity of Namibia, and utilization of living natural resources on a sustainable basis for the benefit of all Namibians, both present and future. A good legal framework is important in forest management as it supports good governance and ensures stakeholders' adherence to regulations. The regulations under the Forest Act support forest management in several ways, including providing guidance and a stewardship duty to the Directorate of Forestry staff members and relevant stakeholders to ensure proper management and sustainable utilization of forest resources. It provides the legal framework for the establishment of a community forest, for which registration and official declaration follows a 10-step process, with Phase 1 to 4 as the initiation phases and Phase 4 to 10 as the application and declaration phases. The Act also makes provision for the setting of regulations and conditions to ensure that forestry-related activities are controlled through various permits, including those required for grazing animals, construction of roads or buildings, and mining in a forest reserve or protected area. The forest regulations furthermore make provision for the marking of indigenous timber that is imported or harvested locally. Different types of permits are required for different activities, as there is no umbrella permit that covers several activities, and the application process differs slightly for private landowners, communal landowners, or community forests. In some instances, such as bush harvesting within the charcoal industry, an environmental clearance certificate is also required from the Department of Environmental Affairs, especially for large-scale harvesting and thinning activities. Forestry officers have the authority to enforce regulations concerning the use of forest resources and products. Those in contravention of these regulations are liable to a fine or jail term based on the offense. Offenses range from non-adherence to permit conditions to illegal harvesting, which can be defined as the collection of forest produce without a permit, or exceeding the quantities indicated on an issued permit, and is one of the most common violations in the forested areas. Anyone who witnesses any violations are encouraged to contact the nearest Directorate of Forestry office or police station, collect evidence such as photos or videos, speak to the offenders and ask them to stop without endangering one's own safety. Many people depend on forests for their livelihoods, and having legislation in place that protects and controls these resources also ensures that livelihoods are preserved and resources are used sustainably. This Namibian legislation extends beyond support for forestry management. It includes rural development and conservation as well. With adequate human, financial, and infrastructural resources, there is potential for Namibia to implement legislation successfully, ensuring that benefits from forest resources can be derived for generations to come. This video was produced with the financial support of the European Union. Its contents are the sole responsibility of the HSF and the DRFN, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the European Union.